Hey everybody, how's it going? Welcome to today's Hangout. We are here. We are live. Let's see. Do we have anybody in here? How do we look? How do we sound? Mel, we looking good? Nothing yet? Yeah, I know there's a little bit of a delay. Hang out for a little bit, see if anybody decides to show up. What's that? Okay, Chris is on? All right, cool. We'll give it a couple more minutes. All right, cool. Hang on a second. Give me, let me try one thing just to make sure. All right, so let's see if we can do this. Cool. You got it? What's that? Okay. Are the we have the slides up. I can see some people joining. Hey everybody, how's it going? Just hang tight. We want to make sure that we have everything in working order in terms of audio and video and that kind of stuff, and then we're going to get started. Sometimes we get a little bit of a delay on these Hangouts, so just hang tight. You got it? Everything looks good? Awesome. Sweet. Cool. Then we will go ahead and get started. I'm assuming that some more people jump in, but we can go ahead and start the chat. Welcome to the Hangout, everybody. My name is Mike Whaling with 30 Lines, and I really appreciate you joining us today for the another one of our free Hangouts. Today we're talking about email marketing, top of inbox, top of mind. If you have any questions, there is a Q&A section where you can ask a question, and we'll try and get to those as we go. We're going to keep this pretty informal, so feel free to ask questions at any time, and we can either jump in and answer them, or we can save them till the end. I do have a few things to show you today, just in terms of things that we've learned along the way with email marketing. Just for some background on us, 30 Lines is a digital marketing agency based here in Columbus, Ohio. We do a little bit of everything, but we specialize in digital marketing for local businesses and especially real estate. So a lot of what you're going to see today is catered to the apartment industry, which is a big chunk of our clientele. What we see is that email marketing is incredibly underrated in terms of just people underestimating it, not really taking advantage of it, not really understanding how they can use it besides, some of the basic things that have been around for years. It's not as sexy as some of the latest stuff in terms of the latest and hottest social media tools, but we can tell you that every one of our clients who has committed to email marketing has turned it into their #1 performing digital marketing channel. So that's, for what that's worth. Last year we sent about 70 million, between 70 and 80 million emails for our, across the board for all of our clients. And I can tell you that it is a huge channel for the people that have figured it out and the people that have committed to it. So, like I said, if you have questions, let me know. Hopefully everybody is seeing the screen okay. This will be recorded. It actually will get saved to our 30 Lines YouTube channel. You can always contact us. You can reach us specifically to talk email at 30lines.com/email. I'll also put my email address up at the end. You can send us a tweet. We're pretty easy to find online, but hopefully, hopefully we answer some questions today. Maybe we, create some more for you as you really start to think about what we can do. So in the meantime, though, let's get started. And I know that there is kind of a crazy delay with this. So give me a heads up if I get too far ahead of my slides. I'm going to try and let them catch up as I'm talking, but sometimes I can get ahead of my slides. So if I do, just give me a heads up, or just reach out to me later, and we can chat about whichever part you had questions about. So, like I said, when it comes to email marketing, it's something that typically people aren't necessarily sure about how it fits into their digital marketing budget. They're not really sure how it fits into everything else that they're doing with their marketing. They're not really sure if they should commit to it, or if email is dead and kind of passe, and people have moved on to the next thing. So there's some reluctance there that we see. But what we see time and time again is that once we start to look at all the different opportunities, once we start to test email out, that it absolutely works. And I'm going to give you some of the reasons why, just in terms of background. One is that everybody uses it. In terms of email, it is by far bigger than any social network out there. Some of the hot social networks right now are Instagram and Pinterest. Pinterest is right around 70 million users as of earlier this year. If you look at Instagram is between 2 and 3 million, 300 million users. Twitter is right there too, 300 million users. Facebook is obviously the behemoth, and they're the only ones that have broken that billion mark, which is kind of crazy, at 1.2 billion. But bigger than all of them is email at over 2 billion users. Basically, if you're on the internet, you probably have an email address, and you probably have more than one. So people are paying attention to it. I hear the argument all the time that teenagers aren't using email, and that's probably true. But as soon as they go to college, as soon as they get a job, they're going to be using email, because those are the channels that people use, in their careers, and to communicate with professors and those kinds of things. So even if you are not using email today, there's probably a good chance that the teens will be shortly. And that's something that we've seen even in the work that we've done with our student housing clients. We've seen that email has worked out pretty well for them. Another thing is that email is mobile. It's definitely, we're kind of past the days of people only looking at email in their Outlook and all the images getting blocked and those kinds of things. There's still some of those issues that crop up, but in terms of what's going on with email and people checking it on their phones, what we see is that more people are reading email from mobile devices than they are from desktop devices and from desktop clients. So I will throw up a stat here where you'll actually see, this is from a company called Litmus, and they do email testing. And one of the things that they do is they keep an eye on how many of their emails, and this is across hundreds of millions of emails, they keep an eye on what applications, what devices people are using to open emails. And as you can see, it is very mobile heavy. It's very mobile in terms of Apple iPhone, the iPad, Gmail, Android. All of those are very mobile heavy. And we see, I think the most recent stats that I saw are that anywhere from something like, the majority of emails are getting opened by mobile devices or on mobile devices. So keep that in mind. And there's actually some things that you can do in terms of making sure that your emails are mobile friendly. Just like you see responsive website design that creates a website that kind of resizes itself to the size of the browser, you can actually do the same thing with email to make sure that it looks great on any device. It's incredibly effective. Email is a channel that people have opted into, and in a lot of cases, in pretty much every case, as long as you're following the law, people have opted in to receive those emails. They want to hear from you. They've raised their hand and they've given you permission to contact them, whether that's with an offer or whether that's as part of your sales pitch during the leasing process, or whether they are an existing customer, a resident at one of your properties. Email is incredibly effective because there's not as much noise. There's certainly a lot of spam out there and those kinds of things. And if you look at your inbox today, you probably have more emails than you would like to admit to that you need to get to. But email is still effective, especially as we see a lot of the social networks going towards pay to play. When they are going towards organic reach, moving to zero, unless you're paying for that traffic on Facebook or on Twitter or on LinkedIn, or pretty soon Pinterest is going to be the same way. Every one of those sites wants you to pay to play, to get in front of the audience that you've earned with your Facebook likes or your Twitter followers and those kinds of things. Email is very cost effective in that you don't have any of those restrictions. I'm not by any means going to say that it's free, because it's not. But email is certainly effective, and you don't have to worry about the restrictions of somebody else's algorithm in terms of getting your email in front of the customers that have requested it. For the apartment world, we see that email drives leases. And we'll talk about this in a little bit here in terms of how email fits at every step of the resident process. But from the moment that somebody comes across your brand, the moment they discover you, all the way through until they sign a lease and beyond, until they're a current resident that you want to try and get them to renew, email has a place in every step of the process. But one thing that we do absolutely see is that it drives leases. We have a number of clients that have worked some really smart emails into their leasing and into their follow-up process, and we see that it keeps them top of mind, it keeps them at the top of the inbox, it keeps them in front of their customers, and it keeps them coming back to schedule a tour or to start an application or get that lease signed. One thing that I would encourage everybody to do is to start thinking about how they can collect emails earlier in the process. And this is something we see there's a lot of opportunity for this within the industry, is to look at what are some ways that we can collect information and get customers to raise their hand earlier in the process. When they're just starting their search, they're probably starting at Google or they're starting at Craigslist. They're probably not ready to give you an email address yet. They haven't even, they're just starting to narrow down which properties they want to live at. So that's probably not the best opportunity, but we need to be thinking about earlier on in the process, how do we get people to identify and raise their hand and say, hey, can you help me with something? And what we see is that typically we're not collecting the email address until we have an individual property in front of them. So they've gone through the website, they've gone through a listing service, apartments.com or apartment list or a site like that, or they've gone through Craigslist and they've selected an individual property, if not an individual unit, which means that they're pretty far along in the process before they raise their hand. But if you can look for ways on your website and on the rest of your online presence to move that back up the chain a little bit, to say, how can I collect some information about them? How can I get them to opt in before they even have a property? One thing that we've seen with our clients is that we're providing a lot of customer service through social media, and particularly through Facebook and Twitter. But the questions that we're getting are questions like, hey, I'm looking for a 1-bedroom in this neighborhood. I know you have properties, but I don't know which property to choose. Can you help me out? So if we can take that knowledge and back that up and look at how do we incorporate that into our website. Here's an example with JC Hart Communities in Indianapolis. Right on their first search page that you get to, you can search for a property by location, by number of bedrooms, by price, and specific amenities. But one of the things that they're asking for, and it's completely optional, is, hey, can you give us your email and a little bit more about what you're looking for before we get into this search? So, we see, we're testing this out with a few of our clients on their websites, and we're looking at some other ways to collect emails. But, this gives us a sense right off the bat of what are they looking for, and even if they don't successfully find a property, can we reach back out to them later and really help them identify what property would be a good fit for them. So with that in mind, one thing that we definitely see is that email is kind of the link across your online presence. Sometimes I call it like your digital glue. It's the one tool that, like, again, people have opted in, they've given you permission to contact them. So it's a great way to show them where they need to go to take the next step, or to see a piece of content that you want them to see. Whether that is your blog, whether that's your social media efforts, whether that is a video tour, or something else you want them to see on the website, a resident event that's coming up. Email is the best way to steer them to the other pieces of content that you want them to see. If you have a blog, whether it's through you or through a third party who's creating that content for you, make sure that you have the ability to allow anybody to come to the blog and opt in through email. You'd be surprised at how many people will stumble across a blog post. They see that you're blogging, you're sharing some information about an upcoming festival this weekend or some other event, or you're talking about a new restaurant that's in town. You're really trying to highlight some of the things that you want to promote in and around the property. Well, if you're not looking at ways to promote, if you're not promoting that content through channels like email, then you're really relying on search engine optimization as the way that people are going to get to that blog content. But if you have people that have opted in, if they've come to your website, saw a blog post and say, hey, I see some value in that, I'm going to subscribe, then you could start to feed them more content the next time you write a blog post, or the next time you share something on a social media site, or if you create a new social media profile that you want them to see, you want them to check out your latest Pinterest board, email it out. It's absolutely a great way to do that. This is an example of an email it's actually automatically generated from one of our clients in Florida. Every time they write a new blog post, we take the content from the blog post and we reformat it, put it in an email, and it's automatically sent out to anybody that subscribes. They've been at this for not very long, and they already have dozens of people who have subscribed to the blog posts. What we see is that people who subscribe to the blog on your website are actually twice as likely to come back and convert later to a lead. So they come to your website first. They might not contact you. They might not fill out a guest card, but if they subscribe, there's a really good chance that because you're able to stay in front of them in your inbox, they're going to come back later and let you know that they're interested in your property. One thing that is really important to keep in mind is that you need to have the right tools in your toolbox. Email marketing is, it's like I said, it's been around forever, but there's a lot of little details that go into it in terms of making sure that you are handling your lists the right way and opting people in and keeping those records, making sure that you are collecting data that helps you segment those lists and really kind of slice and dice to make sure that you're sending the right information to the right people. And then on the list side, or on the campaign side, you want to make sure that you have tools to be able to collect the information, get those people into the right list, and you want to be able to make sure that you have tools that understand how email gets delivered. What we see is that there are plenty of industry-specific tools that are out there. From my experience, personally speaking, none of them hold a candle to any of the major email service providers that are out there, whether it's Aweber or ExactTarget or MailChimp or What Counts. There are a number of other email service providers that's what they do. They focus on it. They all have ways to integrate their forms into your website and into your other online marketing channels, whether it's a tab on your Facebook page or anything like that. But for what it's worth, make sure that you are using the right tools that focus on email marketing and really understand how to make it work for you. So like I said, email is the one channel where people have opted in, and it's not interruption, it's not advertising where you're trying to get in front, you're interrupting a video that they're watching or something like that. So you are, because of canned spam, you are required to get permission and have them opt in, and you need to make sure that you have records of that, and any good ESP worth their salt is already keeping that information for you. But I do not recommend that you do anything like buy a list or anything like that. Make sure that you're getting people to opt in, whether they've explicitly checked a box on your website, or whether they have filled out a form and said, I want these updates, or when they're signing the lease, you let them know and you say, hey, we're going to send these emails, we're going to put you on a list, and just this is how we communicate with our residents. So make sure that you're doing everything that you need to in terms of getting permission. There's a number of different ways that you can get in front of people so that you can get them to the information that they want to see from you. So from left to right here, what we're looking at is whether it's a form that could be in the pop-up, in the sidebar of your blog or on the homepage of your website. We have some clients that before you even leave the homepage, you're going to see a form, and they actually see a fair number of conversions directly from that form right on the homepage of the website. But a simple form in the sidebar can get people to subscribe to the blog. Look for those opportunities to use a pop-up. And what we see is that even though sometimes it can be annoying, it absolutely works. I've seen some studies out there that show that you can grow your list by as much as 400%. If you are using something like one of these automatic pop-ups. You have to be pretty smart about how you do that. You have to make sure that it's an offer that people would actually be interested in, but we know that they work. And then the last option here that I showed you is a Twitter card. And these are lead generation cards. These are, I love this tool because it's a really handy little, it's just a link that you generate in your Twitter advertising account. And you can customize it however you want. You connect it to your email service provider. For us, we use MailChimp, and so we have this directly connected to our MailChimp account. All I have to do is grab that link, and Twitter takes care of the rest. They automatically format everything. They create the button for me, and then they do all of the formatting to show you, as the person seeing the tweet, you can see exactly what you're opting in for and what information you're giving up. So you're able to collect their name, their email address that Twitter already has, and you're able to tell that they're coming from Twitter. So you can send them a specific offer or any of those kinds of things. So we love that tool. The way that you access that is through Twitter ads. You actually, once you've created them, you don't have to pay to send them out though. You can use them in promoted tweets, but you can also just send them out as as a a regular tweet as well. We've seen some really good results with, once you get into a conversation with somebody, you can share a link like this and get them to opt in and get them on a list so that you can start sending them other types of information. It works really well. Some other opportunities would be, through a tab on your Facebook page trying to collect emails. We actually have a couple of clients who are using an iPad app. And so whether it's right in the leasing office or at resident events, or when they're doing any kind of community outreach or anything like that, they'll just take that iPad with them, and right from the app, they have an app they can pull up that's already customized. We'll capture the information, name and email, and put it right into the list that they want it to go to. So you don't necessarily even have to be online to be capturing information and adding people to your lists. But make sure that you are opting them in. I think one huge opportunity for email is, like I said before, looking at the entire resident life cycle, but really looking at how can you use email as a tool that complements your current follow-up processes. In the apartment industry, I know that some companies can struggle with follow-up in terms of answering the phone or responding to people, getting back to emails in a timely manner. And then we see companies that use autoresponders that are very corporate, and they're very bland and very just kind of sterile, and not anything that would really capture the imagination of the person that you're trying to reach out to. So that's better than nothing, but it's still not great. Recently, if you get a chance, go and look up. There was an email study that was done by onsite.com and D2 Marketing. And one of the things that they found, this is exactly what they tested, is just what is the state of email marketing, email follow-up in the apartment industry. And what they found is that a lot of companies are really struggling with the email follow-up in terms of remarketing, in terms of autoresponders that weren't formatted correctly or had errors in them, or redirecting people to blank pages, or all kinds of different things that they found. And we've seen the same thing. Is this is a huge opportunity that if somebody fills out a form and says they want to hear from you, that next first impression is really your opportunity to make sure that they're going to take the next step that you want them to. So look for the ways that you can use email in a really intelligent way to complement your current follow-up process. So here are a couple examples. What we see is that you can automate this and not make it seem impersonal. And we're really trying to take this as far as we can with some of our clients in terms of letters from the CEO, or really taking the information that we are able to gather from what they looked at on the website, and then spitting that back to them so that we really can communicate to the prospect, hey, we understand what you're looking for. Our team is on it. We're trying to find you the perfect apartment, and we want to get you in so that we can show you around and show you how great it's going to be to live here. So you can definitely automate the follow-up, make it complement what your leasing team is already sending out, and be able to gather data and push the prospect to that next step that you want them to take, whether it's come in and take a tour, whether it's start an application, whatever it is that you want them to do as the next step. There's an art and a science to it, but there's a lot that you can do in terms of making sure that you have follow-up that jives with what you already have in place for your leasing process. If you follow B2B marketing, you might hear the term marketing automation, and it's coming into business to consumer marketing a little bit more, and it's coming into the apartment industry more recently. Marketing automation typically is this idea of, as you have a sequence of emails, you can learn based on what the person did last time. And this is something that we're really trying to put in place with our clients, is to say, hey, listen, we've got a nice website, it's responsive, it looks good on any device, you're collecting leads. Now let's see if we can get these leads to self-identify if they're really interested in living here. So we can follow a process like this where we're learning based on, are people opening the emails? Are they taking action? Are they watching the video tour that we're sending them? Are they downloading the moving checklist, or are they clicking on an email and going to check out your blog? Any of those kinds of things. Based on that information, we can determine how much we can gauge their interest. And we can see what should we be sending them next. And this is something that we're really constantly. I don't know that there's really a right answer out there, but we're constantly learning and tweaking what we're doing to make it better, and see what we can do to get people to take action and respond and keep that conversation going. One thing that's really important when we're doing this, though, is that we need to make sure that the ask that we're making is in line with what people are expecting at the point that they're at in the process. So when they're just starting out, it really doesn't make sense to say, hey, start your application. You might want to have that in there somewhere, but if we know that they just hit the website, they haven't even taken a tour of the property yet, we know that it's pretty unlikely that they are going to apply sight unseen. And the numbers yourself. Some companies more than others will get people who apply and go through the leasing process without ever seeing the property. But in our experience, most people, this is a huge decision for them in terms of their future, their housing for the next 12 to 18 months at least. And it's they're probably their biggest expense every month. So it's a huge decision, and they want to come see the place. Like I said, the numbers for yourself, but make sure that the first time you contact them, you're not trying to shove the application down their throat. Really try to understand and make sure that you're providing the right information to them. Communicate that to them in a way that fits with their conversational tone. And then as you move them through the process, as you really start to identify what they need and see that they're interested, then you can start to make the harder push to ask for the application. This doesn't necessarily mean that you have to send a lot more emails in terms of sitting in front of your computer and hitting and emailing even more. If you're anything like me, you're in your inbox too much as it is. The goal for a process like this is really to communicate better, to provide information at the right time based on what we already know and based on what the prospect is telling us that they're looking for, but to do that in a way that means that we are contacting them more often and providing more touch points, but not sitting there hitting send. Again, if you're using the right tools, if you're using an email service provider that has some of these marketing automation functions, you'll have those tools accessible to you, and you won't have to be automating these things. And really, you shouldn't be. Any kind of emails that are responding to a prospect, or any kind of newsletters, or anything that's coming from the website in terms of account notifications or anything like that, really should be running through your email service provider, so that you can be collecting data on that and seeing how your customers and prospects are interacting with your communications. If you're just sending an email from Outlook, you're not getting any of that information, and you're also risking putting yourself at risk in terms of being flagged as spam, that kind of thing. So what kind of emails should we be sending? Really, whatever you can think of. I mean, I've got a few examples here, but this is just scratching the surface in terms of what we can do in terms of sending those automated thank yous, sending out a weekly letter from the property manager, the intros for the new prospects, so that they really get to know the property and the architecture or the landscaping or the neighborhood or amenities or whatever it is you want to show off. Find ways to point them to the other content that you're creating. One thing that we see, especially with with small businesses and with local businesses that they put a lot of effort and they put a lot of pride in their social media, but they then forget to promote it to their customers. And so there's a lot of customers that don't know that there's the Facebook page there for them, or a blog, or something else that they might find value in. You have to let them know about that. Email is a great way to do that. Welcoming new residents, moving in is an anxious time. It can be really stressful, moving and making sure that they get everything right in terms of changing their address and getting utilities set up, and finding the new post office and all those kinds of things. Email is a great way to do that. And you're probably already doing some of this offline with welcome packets and that kind of stuff. Email is a great way to do that in a way that they can go back to it later and have it available. Find ways to showcase multiple properties. You figure out, hey, if you're still looking, you have a certain neighborhood that you're in. Maybe we can gather some of that information and spit back some of our featured properties, things that we think you should check out. And then once you move them through and get them as a customer, can you ask for referrals? Can you ask for feedback? Ask for reviews and ratings? Really look for ways to be proactive about your online reputation. And email is a great way to do that. So I've given you a few ideas. I don't want to overload you today. There's really a ton that we can cover, but I hope I've given you a few things to think about in terms of how you can be using email, how you can connect it to some of the things that you're already doing, where it fits in your digital marketing and your online presence. But I do always try and give you some takeaways in terms of things that you can think about today and in the next, things that you can do in the next week. So one of the things that I would always look at is, at every step in the process, whether it's a brand new prospect, whether it's somebody who's interested in the property but hasn't signed yet, if they're a new resident, maybe they moved in, or maybe they've only been there for a couple weeks and they're just getting comfortable, or if they're a current resident who's been around for a little bit, what is your offer? Why should they care? They're definitely going to be interested in hearing from you if you have something worthwhile to say. So what is the offer that matches up at each step of the process? Why should they sign up? Why should they opt in? If you make sure that you are using the right tools. Like I said, we use MailChimp. We love that here. We have some clients who use Constant Contact. We have some clients who use Exact Target. I definitely recommend using one of they're called ESPs, one of the service providers that really focuses on email marketing, just because you're going to get so much more for your money that way. But once you have those tools in place, make sure that you are doing everything you can to organize your list, clean it up, so that you're sending to people who actually want to hear from you, and then organize it so that you can create segments. You don't necessarily always have to send to the whole list, but you definitely want to be able to say, hey, I need this one to go out to all my residents. I need next week's to go out to the people who have a pet. I have, the next one needs to go out to people who have just recently received a work order in the past week. There's a lot of different ways that we can do that. Here at 30 Lines, we've actually developed some technology that bridges that gap between the email service providers and your property management software. So we can actually learn from the property management software and use that to inform the emails and make sure that you're sending emails based on things that are happening over in your software. Make sure that you are getting permission as you're adding people to the list. We want to make sure that you have those opt-in forms and are looking for every opportunity that you can to give people the chance to opt in and let them hear from you with emails. Again, look for your blog, your website. Try the pop-ups or the slide-ins at the bottom of the screen, or the bar across the top. Look for the ways that you can complement your website with these forms to get people into a sequence or get them into monthly newsletter or something like that. And then if you are in social media, you may look for the opportunities to bring people from social over to email. We definitely want to look at ways to promote what you're doing across multiple channels. If you are doing autoresponders, look for ways to make that more conversational. Don't just say, hey, we're going to be in contact with you soon. Look for ways to take the information that they've already given you, put that back at them, make sure that you understand what they're looking for, make sure that they understand what the next step is. Give the prospect an opportunity to kind of self-identify as a hotter prospect. If you really wanted to get deep into this, you can use some of these automated emails to really get into more of a lead scoring process. And I know that there's some bigger companies like UDR, and I believe Amly is doing a little bit of the lead scoring with some of their marketing automation. Email definitely plays a huge part in that, but you need to make sure that you have messages that are going to capture people's attention and actually get them to take action. And then finally, always keep in mind what you want people to do. Again, I just said you want them to take action, but what is it that you want them to see? What is the next step? Where are they going to go? Are they going to send a reply to your leasing staff? Are they going to click through to your blog? Are they going to click through to social media? Are they going to click through to a landing page on your website? Email is the piece that email's the hook. That's what you throw out and reel them in. But once you have them hooked, and once you get them to take that action, you need to make sure that you have a landing page on your website or content on your social media that is what people are expecting to see, and kind of meets that need that they have when they click through the email. So make sure that you have your landing pages in place so that they match up with what you're doing on your email marketing. I hope that, like I said, we just, in the last 45 minutes, we've really just kind of scratched the surface in terms of what we can do. But I hope all I really wanted to do with this, and what we do with this entire series of Hangouts, is just try and get you thinking, try and get you asking questions about how you can improve your online presence in one step at a time. If you want some more information about email marketing and how you can use this as part of your digital marketing, 30lines.com/email is the place where you can get a hold of us. If you want to email me directly, if you have any questions, you can reach me at mike@30lines.com. But what I would love to do is take some questions and see if there's anything that you have, any experiences that you've run into. How are you using email? Hi, everybody. But there's a Q&A section over here, and I can see those questions. We also have the group chat that's available, so we can hang out for a little bit. Or if you want to just contact me later, we can get in touch individually. Thanks for hanging out. Certainly appreciate it. Take those last steps. Like I said, we will be making this available on our YouTube channel. You'll be able to catch that through our Google Plus page, which is what you're on right now. That's just google.com/+30lines. Pretty easy to find if you just Google it. I'll be happy to provide the slides to you as well if you want to get these for your future use. Let's see. Any questions? I don't think so. Last time we shut it down and we said goodbye, and then like 3 questions came in after that. So I think we are good. If you would like to get a hold of us, if you have any questions about your email marketing, or if you want us to maybe take a look at what you're doing and how you might be able to take it to the next level, would love to chat. Again, you can reach me at mike@30lines.com. Thanks, everybody, and we will see you next time.